finds herself waking once more in the bottom of a petite golden cage, hung up on a stand with a series of other golden cages, in a cavern full of gold, all around the edges, heaps and heaps of gold, chests of gold, jewels scattered in amongst it, all kinds of things made out of precious metals. In the room there is a table with a small chest next to it that Libby feels like she's spent an awful lot of time on, but she can never quite remember how much time. She's not even sure how many times she's woken up and how many times she's gone to sleep. And she hears the steps, now familiar, yet always strange, coming across the room. As she...
oh, sorry, am I at the table?
No, you're in the golden cage.
I'm in the golden cage. Yes, I've just woken up, yes, okay.
And you hear this familiar steps coming across towards you. Bleary eyes opening, sitting up, looking around, seeing the golden lady, black malevolent pits for eyes, seeming relaxed, but still stern, always stern. As she lifts the cage off of the... Come, my pretty, it's time for your walkies, she says. And she takes the cage over and puts it down carefully next to the chest, opens the door, unlocking it, opening the door.
I stand and walk towards the entrance, climb out of the cage.
And as you take your first step out of the cage, you become bigger, and as you take your second step, you find yourself the size you imagine yourself to be normally.
Okay. What does she do with the key to the cage?
Make a perception.
Okay. Crit fail!
And all you know is she takes the key, she inserts it into the lock, she unlocks it, and she almost just lets go of it, and it seems to just disappear.
Okay. Well, I'll go
through. You do know this. She is literally holding it between she has long nails, and if you have she holds it between two corners of the nails. It's teeny.
Teeny.
It's very delicate manoeuvring for her to unlock the lock. She's very, very careful.
Okay.
Looking down at you with those baleful eyes, her eyes suddenly widen, and she looks at you and she says, "You may have a long walk today, my pretty. It would seem that I have business to attend to."
I timidly nod and look at my feet.
And she turns and she strides somewhat briskly, flinging the curtain to one side, and even as she flings the curtain, she seems to veer to the left and head out away from Avagrin, towards where you believe the way in and out of the cave must be, because it seems to be where she is always going to and coming from, and everywhere else you've been is just a dead end.
Okay. What did she do with the cage? Is the cage still on the
Cage
table?
is down just next to the chest on the floor,
Okay,
where she always puts it
where she
before
always
you
puts
walk. It's just like when you sit down to count, she always puts the cage on the table, on the corner of the table whilst you're counting.
And the door of the cage is open. Okay. Right, so I'll do a listen to see whether she's definitely gone or not. 19.
You listen and you hear footsteps receding.
Oh, way more than that, but it's fine.
You hear footsteps receding, and as they recede, you edge closer in order to hear more clearly, until you're stood right next to the curtain at the same time as you hear the footsteps kind of in a gentle sploosh kind of noise.
Just waiting for the sploosh. I am going to peek out from behind the curtain.
You stick your head out and you look around, and all you can see is this sort of strange phosphorescent glow of the walls and the fungus.
Okay. And I'm going to quickly dart to where Evergroom is.
Making no effort to conceal the noise, you dash along the corridor,
Yeah.
well, the cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Low tunnels here, maybe 8 feet, 9 feet overhead, and sort of roughly circular, although slightly narrower in width and height. You dash around the corner and you see Evergrim clutching around his side again, holding himself tight.
Mm-hmm.
And his head lifts up and peers around.
And he notices me.
He's heard you come.
Okay.
He's dashed along.
I scamper up to him, up to where he's sitting, and I say, Evergroom, it's now's the time. We're going to escape right now. Are you ready?
He looks at you and he looks at you very quickly and says, "Well, how?"
I have a plan. Do you trust me?
As much as I have trusted anyone in a long, long time, I shall try.
Okay, well, I can't guarantee that my plan will work, but I do have a plan.
He nods at you and looks quizzically.
Okay, I'll be right back. And I dash back to the room and get the cage.
Mm-hmm.
And dash back to him with the cage.
Okay, so you dash along, grab the cage up, dashing back. No care whatsoever for any noise made at the moment.
No.
Full of excitement. You take the cage.
And I put it on top of the rock and I say, just move towards the entrance of the cave, or of the cage.
He looks at you and he kind of shakes his head slightly and he says, "I will try." And he stands up and he takes a step towards the cage. Make an intelligence check.
Intelligence check. Okie dokie. Natural 20.
You feel something inside of you, like a heat, well up inside of your body and course through you. And you feel an incredibly strong connection between you and the cage that holds you.
Ooh.
And you suddenly feel overcome, and Evergrim's appearance shifts, and instead of being a golden-skinned man, he's more like a hollow skin of a man, but with a golden light radiating out from within him.
Wow.
And you can almost see almost like blood vessels, if you like, sort of paths of energy travelling through him. And the cage no longer looks like a cage. It doesn't look like a solid golden cage. What it looks like is thousands and thousands of threads of golden energy which come through you.
Whoa.
And out of you. And as he steps towards it, they reach into him, penetrate through him, and pull him down, making him smaller. And as he takes a second step, they go even deeper into him and make him even smaller.
Whoa.
As this strange golden light that's now him, and instead of black pits for eyes, they're sort of like golden orb lights for eyes.
Whoa.
Looking up at you. As if you see him for what he truly is, rather than how you thought him to be.
Whoa.
Except also you get a very strong sense that the glow coming from within him is a dulcet, pathetic glow. It's sort of weak and almost flickering.
Whoa. Okay.
And he looks at you, and the golden orbs. Make a perception check.
Wisdom?
Yeah.
12.
Just look surprised as he steps carefully into the cage, looking up at you. And he says, I am surprised. How is it that you can do this?
There is no time. Climb into the cage.
And as he climbs into the cage, something else you notice is that there was some connection to the rock that he was on, which seems to be severed.
Oh dear.
In a way which... It's like whatever bound him to the rock, because you've never seen him leave the rock without the Golden Lady. It's almost like there was something holding him there, and you've just severed that.
Shoot. I also remember she came back in a fury, knowing that something had been going on with the chains. So she has some sort of connection. She might be realizing, she might know that this has happened right now. Oh dear. And I've only just thought of this. So he climbs in the cage. I grab the cage and I go, oh, nothing, my sword. And I run back into the room.
Okay. You run back through, carefully carrying the cage. Just make a dexterity check a second.
13.
You manage to keep the cage mostly stable. Avagrim sort of stumbles a bit and clings to the bars at the side as soon as you're carrying him, but you're too excited as you dash through, shoulder your way through the curtain into the chamber of gold. You run across it, gold sort of flying, you sort of chink across the floor. You just wade into the golden valley that leads to your sword. Are you still holding the cage?
I put the cage on the table.
Okay, so as you go in, you put the cage on the table and you dash across to the golden valley, climbing up, sort of half swimming, half wading through the gold towards your sword. As you're coming close to the sword, you reach out and you grab it. Make a perception check.
9.
Okay, the sound of cascading gold around you drowns out all other sound as you pull the sword free and you start to turn.
I have the sword! Oh, excellent. I turn and I go back over to the cage and I pick up Avagrim. But, so I'm only holding him in one hand now, because I've got the sword in the other.
Yep.
And I dash towards the curtain and do a quick listen check. 9.
In your excitement, you grab up Avagrim and you just use the sword to part the curtain and you sort of stop and you listen. But you don't hesitate for more than an instant as you step through the curtain. Where do you go?
Turn left.
You turn left, following where the Golden Lady seems to go to disappear. You just dash along?
Just dashing along.
You're just dashing along without even thinking. You run past the luminous fungus that you first saw when you woke up coming out of the cave. The cave off to your right where you first woke up, you just pass it, ignoring it. You carry on down the passage and the sound of water gets louder and you can hear a sort of thundering sound as you come to a large pool in the floor. Make a perception check.
Is that 10?
There is some faint glow in the pool, as if...
Golden?
No.
Okay.
Just like as if there is some kind of light source on the other side.
Right. Okay. I say, Avagrim, hold your breath.
Okay. But I'm okay. I can breathe underwater.
Oh, good. And I wade into the pool.
Okay. This pool has sheer sides. You step as if to wade, and you kind of just find it. Yeah, you don't sort of topple. You sort of try to put your foot in and find an edge. You find no purchase, and you just sort of slide in, almost sort of falling down the edge. It's sort of swoops away. You find yourself suddenly underwater. Make a swim check.
Oh, 7.
You find yourself underwater, and you panic at first. Sword in one hand, Avagrim in the other. The cold hits you. It bites hard. It's chilly. It's like you haven't felt cold like this in a long time. You kick back up to the surface in the pool. Breathe heavily. Prepare yourself, and then. Can she swim? No.
She just starts. So I've got my head up. Can I look around, see if there's anyone around?
You're still in the same pool. You just fell down into the pool, panicked, and went straight back up. The pool is about 8-9 feet in diameter.
Oh, balls. Okay, so
it's deep as well. You can't put your feet down.
Right. Am I wearing a belt? Can I belt my sword?
Yes.
Let's try and stick my sword through my belt.
You don't have the scabbard anymore,
No.
but you still basically have the clothes that you arrived in.
Yeah.
Still
So
wearing.
I'll try and belt my sword so I can have an arm to swim with.
So you haphazardly thrust the sword through your belt.
I hold the cage like try and get a stronger purchase on the cage.
So gripping the cage carefully under your arm now.
And then start kicking and trying to.
Dive down.
I dive down. Yeah. I go, here we go, and I try and dive under the pool.
Okay.
Yes.
This time you dive down, having gotten used to the cold, the initial shock out. Avagrim gripped firmly.
Now I have a hand free.
You have a hand free, the sword wedged through your belt. You dive down and start swimming and kicking as hard as you can. You sort of glance down and you see Avagrim tumble briefly in the cave and in the cage, and he sort of gets caught, trapped up against, as his tiny size is caught by the momentum of the water pushing him into one of the corners. As you swim down, make a perception check.
Natural 20!
As you swim down effortlessly now, you've managed to get purchase. You're swimming very strongly, almost like you were born to it now. It seems easy in a way that you thought, and never thought it would be. You start going forward towards the light, and you can see tumbling foam ahead of you, and you dive down underneath it. As you dive down underneath it, you see a golden lady swim across the pool towards somebody stood waist deep, and you recognise your father's clothes as she swims forward to him, snatching for him, and he backs off and dashes away out of the water. And as you swim to the other side, swimming away from her, wanting to scream at him with all of your lungs. But by the time you surface and glance around, right in the sort of shadow of the rocks on one side of the pool, as far away from the golden lady as you can get, you glance around and you just can't see him anymore.
No! Oh dear, I scrabble onto the bank, sputtering, and sort of just dunk the cage onto the floor. And
You also paid heed to the golden shimmer of the lady as you saw her tagging further, and as you glance back into the pool and put the golden cage down, you can see that there's a golden shimmer that seems to disappear down into the froth.
Oh god. I notice this, pick up the cage and start running. The way in which I think is towards the castle.
Make a perception check. You start dashing off through the now strangely familiar pine forest, which you traipsed through and got lost in, and found yourself not sure, not knowing where you were before, but now you're certain. The mountains behind you, the lowlands ahead of you, that is the way to the castle. As you run through the forest, you start to notice that it's cold, there's a bitter edge in the air, and you also start to notice that there's strange wisps of fog cascading through the forest as you're dashing.
Oh my god, oh dear.
You stumble, cold and tired, soaked through with the water. You stumble into trees, headlong blindly as it starts to get dark.
Oh no,
Make a perception.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Oh no! 9 for perception.
You just run from tree to tree blindly through the dark, not knowing what the fog just gets thicker and thicker around you. Your vision is impaired. You notice that your hearing starts to sort of become muffled, and a strange silence descends upon you, and your legs get tired and heavy, and you find yourself slowing as your body heat from the running has actually managed to dry out a lot of the clothes and everything. You're still sweating underneath, but it's a good, like, I'm warm, I'm not freezing to death.
Okay.
Avagrim is in his cage, sort of battered around from the run, and just sort of sprawled out in the bottom of the cave. Cage.
I always say cave as well instead of cage. I slam my back against a tree and go down to my knees to try and catch my breath and put the cage on the floor and say, Avagrim, are you okay? And try and open the cage door.
He looks up at you and like, yes.
We are free. Can you walk?
And he looks at me and he's like, give us a second. And sort of slowly eases himself up and he's like, that was a bit rough.
I'm sorry.
And he stands up and he steps out of the cage and he grows bigger and he takes a second step and he grows until you're looking up at him at his full height, which is even taller than the Golden Lady.
Wow.
Even though whenever you've seen him, he always seems tiny compared to her. Actually, in height, he is.
Maybe he's always huddled and.
He was a good header, but then he looks down. He's like, I cannot believe it. You've escaped from that place, and you've escaped with me. But still, she has me.
What do you mean?
These chains.
Oh, oh no. Oh. Well, we will she follow?
She will always follow.
We
We must get far from here.
Well, my castle is very close to here. My father, he could possibly help.
And he sort of sniffs, and he's like, this fog, it's not natural. The dead walks this night. And you start realising that the light is fading. So the whiteness of the fog is turning steadily into sort of a dark purpley.
At that, she draws her sword. Can you run? Can you fight?
I can run,
Oh,
but as long as I am bound, I can do nothing without being told by her.
well, once we get to my castle, I'm sure my father will know how to help you. That is the safest place I know. We need to get there now. I think you're right. This isn't safe.
So he looks at you and he looks hopeful, scared, almost shy for sort of 6'3", golden skinned guy can look shy. His eyes once more are sort of black pits. He looks like a being again. He wraps the brown cloak around him and pulls the hood down low and he's like, you lead, I will follow.
Okay, this way. And she quietly, and she stops to dart from one tree to the other, making sure to keep aware of her surroundings. You back up against the tree, looking,
Dart
diving,
from
stopping.
one tree to another, and you look back. Did you leave the golden cage?
Yeah.
The golden cage on the floor, and you look at Avagrim and you dart effortlessly, but every step he takes seems to be like the world is resting upon his shoulders. Literally, it's like he heaves a foot and puts it down, almost like something's holding him back.
I dart back to Avagrim and I say, this might be quicker if you remain in the cage.
He's like, I think I agree, although being trapped so long and almost having a taste of freedom felt so good.
Don't worry, I will be there very soon. I'm so sorry. And she picks up the cage again and ushers for
And he looks at her sort of very sadly, but takes a step towards it and another, stepping into it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And she closes the door.
And he looks up at you and he says, it's the closest to freedom I've been in many millennia.